Hello everyone and welcome to this AMA here at Crypto Miners. Today we have Matt Quinn from Nervos Network with us. Hello Matt, welcome.
Hi Mary, it's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great having you here. We can't wait to hear about this project. Seems like a big one.
Sure, yeah, we've been at it for some time, so yeah, happy to share with your community, what we've been working on and what we kind of see for the future.
Yeah, sounds great. Please start by introduce yourself a little bit. Who are you and how did you end up here in the crypto space?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Matt. I used to build, I guess, like accounting systems for large organizations. And just keeping track of money and different views on money, and keeping track of all their contracts, transactions, things like that. And I saw Bitcoin, and it looked just like a better way of accomplishing what we were doing when you actually have the money is in the computer system versus just being a database that's keeping track of where money might be in different bank accounts, things like that. And started some Ethereum meetups, did that for a while, and then came across Nervos in 2018 and was really interested by the goals and how it addressed some of what I saw as really, really challenging things in terms of like the long-term future of Ethereum.
I see. So you said 2018 that you met Nervos people for the first time. So it's
That's right.
Pretty old, if you might say, an old project as well.
Yeah, I think it's very ambitious. So I think it just takes a long time to build up. But yeah, we continue to just kind of get the word out and more people become aware of it. So
I just think it's reassuring to know that the project has been around for a while, and then still continuing to growing and doing their thing, and someday they will come up big, hopefully, right? So,
yeah, we'd like to see these things realized. Yeah, the ambitions. Go ahead.
Yeah, cool. So please tell us about this network, Nervos. What is it? What kind of problems are you going to solve in the crypto space with it?
Sure. So Nervos really is a different way of creating a smart contract platform. So a lot of the inspiration for it comes from Bitcoin, and looking at the landscape, a lot of I guess almost all smart contract platforms have kind of started at Ethereum and then made modifications to that idea. And Nervos is really more like, let's go back to Bitcoin and what worked for Bitcoin. So there's a focus on decentralization and flexibility. And so it's secured by proof of work. So we're here in a miners chat, and I think that's important detail. That there's no kind of plan to move to proof of stake. It's not secured by proof of stake. But in terms of the goals of the network, so it's meant to be very flexible. So the virtual machine of Nervos is low level. It's actually a replica of like an actual computer, so it can run anything on top of it. So we can run the Ethereum virtual machine. We can execute the cryptography of other chains. So we have flexibility in terms of like the wallets people can use. So we had well, I guess we'll get into more of that through the AMA, I think. But yeah, the idea is to be very flexible, future proof, and support any sort of blockchain scaling solution.
That sounds really great. So with so many public chains in this industry, in this space, crypto space, why would people choose Nervos? Why? What is better?
I think from a developer's perspective, I think a lot of it really is in like principles at this point. So most of the smart contract chains scale by making the chain faster or processing more transactions, and Nervos is really a contradiction in that respect. That Nervos, again, taking inspiration from Bitcoin, the idea is to keep the layer 1 small and easily verifiable, and to scale using layer 2 systems like optimistic rollups or payment channels. So at this point, it is easier for a dev to say just push an Ethereum smart contract to say near that just has higher TPS, and the issue that they may see is in the long run that that platform may break down because it's similar to adding lanes to a highway. Can you continue to add lanes to accommodate the traffic, or in the I guess in the Nervos world, I kind of use the analogy of taking those cars off the road and making flying cars. And I think for developers that are thinking more long term, those more innovative solutions that are much harder today, they may feel that that's a better place to spend their time. And I think so. That's from the developer's perspective. I think from a user's perspective, the idea that you don't have to download a new wallet, if you use MetaMask, you can continue to use MetaMask if you want to use Nervos, and that goes for other wallets as well. I mean, we have some. I guess there's Tron and Polygon support at this point for some Nervos dApps, but in time, any blockchain wallet could be supported on Nervos. It's really just a smart contract task that a developer needs to write, that kind of smart contract functionality almost to be compatible with other wallets, but it doesn't require some sort of hard fork or change from the core devs.
Okay. So how this must be a huge team behind this, right? How many people are you working with Nervos at the moment?
I think we have kind of expanded and contracted, so I don't have exactly an estimate of how many people. I would venture to say around 50, but I think we're reworking the website now, and I think a better estimate would be available soon in terms of like actual number of people.
And what kind of background do they have mostly? Are they?
I think we really attract people who have been in the crypto space for a long time. I think the founders, are all people who had done previous crypto projects. So one founder came from iMtoken, which is a wallet that I think is 8 million users, something like that. It's a popular wallet. And another was one of the founders of Sparkpool, which was a big Ethereum mining pool before the China ban kind of put them out of business. And another co-founder came from the Ethereum, worked with the Ethereum core team, way back in 2016. And I think some of the hires that we've made are people who have been interested in Bitcoin since, say, 2011, something like that. People who really can dig deep into crypto projects and understand why Nervos is different. I think we're continuing to get better and better information out there. But I think for a while, you needed to speak a certain language when you came to the project to understand what the real value was. And I think that really has filtered in kind of who's interested. And I guess I'll add that the core developers all have worked on scalable blockchains before, mostly with like private solutions. But that idea around like scaling up blockchain systems and the challenges that arise once you have scalable systems. Like I think, our core team has kind of learned a lot of the lessons already that other teams that, are learning as they scale up these, massive blockchains.
They all made mistakes already that they're not going to repeat at Nervos Network. That's good.
It really is a hard problem to say we can't just add more blocks, add more data. Like we need to come up with these like clever mechanisms that allow us to support more users. And I think Ethereum at this point is really leading the charge in that, in those realms of research and other, outgrowths that people have come out of the Ethereum community and moved into like the Cosmos ecosystem. There really are hard problems, but I think like over a 10-year time frame, these are the kind of innovations that will stick around. Whereas some of these other things that people are trying out, more have like a 2 to 5 year time frame.
Yeah. So would you say that when did it start? You came on 2018, but when did they start or think about this Nervos Network?
I don't know how long the concepts were spinning around. I know development and fundraising started in 2018. But I
Okay.
don't
So
know
what
if
I'm
there was any
after
kind. Yeah.
is like back then. I mean, it's a long time, 4 years
Hmm.
in this space.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
lots have happened. Is this Nervos Network? Are you like following your time? I mean, are you upgrading along the way, or are you sticking to the plan you had from the start?
I think the plan has always been that there are some things that are going to be, fixed in place, and other things will evolve. So, for an example of this
Mm.
is um, the way the virtual machine works, or the way that data is stored on the blockchain. Like, all of that is fixed in place, but we're continuing to add functionality to the virtual machine. So it's a replica of an actual computer, there's uh, I guess extensions. I don't know if a better word. I guess additional like processor functionality that can be added. So that continues to get added, and the idea is to make cryptography more efficient, because a lot of kind of forward-looking blockchain developments lean on new cryptographic things that people are coming up with, and a lot of times that's computationally intensive. And
Mm.
we're working on light clients as well, so to make the chain more decentralized, and to make people less reliant on, say, someone else to run a node for them. They can just download some data from the chain and be certain of things. But I think in terms of the core plan, I don't think we've deviated much. I think we've had to become more pragmatic in terms of what we champion about the project and where we put development emphasis. So we recently launched a Ethereum compatible layer 2 solution earlier this year, and it took us time to get to the point where we're like, this is what we need, instead of really trying to push people to use the stuff that we're really excited about on the layer 1 solution, and the unique capabilities of Nervos and the virtual machine. We really just needed something that would make it easy for developers who are already building blockchain apps to build on Nervos. So I would say, core principles and vision for the network, none of that has changed, but we are making kind of slight tweaks along the way.
Yeah. Okay. So you have a native token, right? What's the name of the native token? CKB.
So then CKB, yeah. So a question I always get is, what does CKB stand for? And it's
exactly.
Common Knowledge Base. It's a common knowledge base, and I think I think it's meant to inspire a long conversation about what common knowledge is, and it's this idea that it's information that we all know. Everyone knows the data that's on the blockchain, and we started from Bitcoin. If you think about with Bitcoin, the common knowledge of the network, the things everyone knows is the owners and their balances. And like that's really all Bitcoin does, is just store, there's this owner, they have this many Bitcoin. And the idea with Nervos was to generalize that, to say, we could store any type of data, we could do any sort of computation, and just kind of just open the doors to, who knows what kind of systems can be built with this. And so what the CKB, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jim. What the CKB
so what the CKB token functions as is it's a true utility token. If you hold CKB, it entitles you to store data on the chain. So a lot of times when we think about writing data to a blockchain, we think about paying fees, and those fees go to the miners. And with CKB, it's a little different. There are fees that go to miners, but that CKB, if you own, say, 1,000 CKB, you can store 1,000 bytes of data on the blockchain, and like that space is always yours as long as you hold those CKB. And if you want to change the data that you're storing there, you can. And it's because this is intended to be a decentralized chain, it's not massive amounts of data, so you're not going to put like pictures there or something like that. You're going to store like, I own this NFT, this is my key, this is the hash, or I own, 1 million of this token. So that's the kind of data that's being stored on chain. And
so it's not a proper database that you can put or.
Yeah, I mean, it's a database like Bitcoin is a database. It technically is a database, but not we're not storing lots of data there. It's just small amounts of data.
Okay.
Because the idea is everyone needs to, share this data around the world. So that the database is limited to the amount of CKB in circulation. So there's, I think, 33 billion CKB that are in circulation right now. So the maximum amount of data that could be stored on the chain is 33 gigabytes.
Okay. So how do I buy this CKB?
So it's on, it's on Binance, Bittrex, KuCoin.
Okay.
Or you could mine it. That's another one of miners chat. So you could
I can mine it.
go to
I've never mined
mine
anything, but except real rocks out in the nature,
Sure.
maybe.
Yeah.
Cool. But if there's anyone in here who wants to be part of the team or help out, or not maybe part of the team, but do you take more people on, or how does it look like?
Yeah, so there are positions open within the foundation. I think in terms of like the best way to get involved, I think going to the Telegram chat or Discord server and kind of asking, what I guess first is being actually interested in the project, and I think getting a sense for, really taking it on yourself to understand what this is. And it's not going to take massive amounts of time, but I do think it takes some sort of crypto knowledge and some true interest in this. Yeah, there's definitely positions with the foundation, but I think in terms of like people contributing to the project, there's much more of kind of like a long tail of decentralized contributors, and we have programs to compensate people if they are spending significant amounts of time doing this. And we have mods, and we have content writers, and other people who are supported through these programs.
Yeah. So are there many competitors out there, like they're trying to achieve the same thing as you do at the moment? Do you know? Because there are lots of new projects coming up who wants to build the next blockchain. We had a few coming through here as well, so I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has, I guess, gone to the extent that we have in terms of implementing the flexibility that Nervos has. I think we kind of stand on our own in that respect. But there is kind of this question of kind of like, have we gone too far? Do you really need that? But I would say something like Cosmos or Polkadot or I guess where the roll-up space is kind of heading in terms of being more generalized, that is in some ways competition, but it really is just a different take on a similar problem of how do we build a truly decentralized network and scale up and provide developers the flexibility they need to build their applications in a way that isn't subject to high fees as a result of demand from a single application, something like that.
Yeah, great. So what's in the future now? In the near future and maybe in the far future, where do you see yourself, or what's on the roadmap?
Sure. In the near future, we'll continue to make tweaks to the Ethereum layer 2 to make it more developer and user friendly. I think it's mostly matured at this point, but I think in the short term that'll continue to be a focus. We have a sidechain solution that will roll out some point later this year. So that will be, I think, more of like an app chain solution. So maybe an alternative to someone starting their own Cosmos chain. They could run an app chain that's secured by stakers that are, the proof of stake is being done as a layer 2, on Nervos. So you don't have the same kind of like big security questions around proof of stake, because the proof of work on the layer 1 is taking care of all those attacks that you could mount against a purely proof of stake system. I mentioned light clients before. There's a good amount of work in that realm to expand the ways that users can interact with the blockchain. And we're also working on open transactions, which is jargony, but it basically is just new ways of creating transactions like swaps or things like that, where things that would be mediated by a smart contract today, you could just do completely off chain and find, who I wanted to swap coins with, something like that. Yeah, we're looking at a payment channel network like Lightning, something like that. There's no kind of path implementation at this point, but it is an important priority for us.
Okay. Well, I have some questions from our audience here from Twitter. Is there something else you want to add before we move on with that?
No, I think it's pretty clear.
Let's see. So here's one question. Could Nervos act as a layer 0 to other chains that have not addressed the trilemma and have made compromises on decentralization, security? Sorry.
Yeah, it definitely could. So you could have a smart contract that basically was a staking contract on Nervos. I think Polygon runs this way on Ethereum, where you had your stakers had those coins on on the layer 1 blockchain of Nervos, and then if anything went wrong in their blockchain, then they could slash whoever was the malicious staker on the layer 1. Yeah, it seems like a lot of these proof of stake systems would benefit from this ability to have an objective layer 1 instead of everything just kind of being proof of stake. And I think for us, looking at where does this, like what we've built, what problems does this solve? What is this a solution to in the long run? I think, being a proof of work smart contract platform, I guess layer 0 is one way to say it. A layer 1 for layer 2 is another. But providing that objective layer 2 proof of stake systems, I think is something we've definitely identified as a value that we have to add.
Okay. All right. Next question is, how would Nervos ensure that people using its ecosystem don't have to go through the complexity of crypto and can use it like they are searching something on Google or sending an email?
So I think we are with crypto. I think outside of using something like Coinbase, we still have a ways to go before we get there. That it doesn't require all of that mental energy to think about what am I doing, what am I signing, am I going to lose all my money? But with Nervos, because of the flexibility of the technology, that we can start to make these things easier. I think we've already started to do that today. So, I mean, first off, you're already a crypto user and you like using MetaMask. You don't have to download a new browser extension and create new mnemonic phrases, things like that. So I think for people who are already interacting with crypto, they don't need to really understand too much new. They can kind of use what they're used to. And I think Nervos is unique in that respect. We recently published some stuff around using Apple's passkey functionality that they've published. So with Nervos, you actually can create a private key inside your phone, and it's stored in secure storage of your phone, and then use that to interact with the blockchain. And I think there's a couple other chains that have this functionality. EOS might be able to, Definity, and I think I saw Tezos may as well. So not all chains support this. A cool thing we've been able to do with Nervos with this solution is, so that private key is stored in your phone and you can't get it out of your phone. It's in there, it's going to stay there. But if you lose your phone, you need to somehow recover that account. And because of the flexibility of Nervos, we've been able to attach a multi-factor authentication solution to that uses email. So there's cryptography that all email is, I guess, authenticated by. So the major email providers do this to ensure that if you see an email that came from Gmail, it actually came through Google servers. So Google is cryptographically signing all those emails. And with that, the Nervos chain can actually make sense of that cryptography and authenticate that this is a legitimate message that came through Google from this email address, and that can be used for account recovery of that private key that was stored in your phone. So there's still, I think, when you're interacting with dApps, and because
so it's going to be
Nervos
easier
is,
because because for people who are not in the space yet, or for new people in the space, it's pretty complicated. It's really complicated.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think even just that idea of what is a private key.
Make it easier. Yeah. To make it easier to get the mass adoption that everyone wants and needs to be successful, So
yeah, I think a lot of the narrative, I appreciate that. I think a lot of the narrative is moving toward just have people use centralized systems. I think especially in the wake of this Solana wallet problem and a couple of recent bridge hacks, I'm seeing a lot of stuff trending around like it's much safer to use Coinbase, which is true in some respects. I mean, if Coinbase ever gets hacked and billions of dollars are gone, then that all that looks very different. But I think it's just going to take us longer to get to a point that these things are easy and they're safe for everyone. But yeah, we'll continue plugging away at that.
It's a key, though, I think, to
mass with any web systems, it's all network effects. People only want to use things if everybody else is using them. So.
Yeah. People want their funds to be secure, and they're definitely not in this crypto space yet. And all the hacks and stuff that happens and rabbit holes here and there, it's like it's a jungle. So it's still for the people who have a little more, I think, gambling mind than the old-fashioned investors. Yet we'll see. Next question is: why did Nervos choose the proof of work protocol instead of the newly appeared protocols like whatever?
Useful proof of work and proof of stake.
Yeah, proof of stake. Yeah.
So I think starting it with proof of stake is a better way to start with the explanation. So going back to say 2018, so Nervos has always been a very ambitious project, and if you really dig into like what we're doing with smart contracts, there's always like a lot of work that needed to be done on that layer just to get it right. And the idea of having to master proof of stake in addition, it just seemed like a lot of work. And if going back then, proof of stake was much less I guess relatively proven than it is now. I think there's a lot more proof of stake networks that are legitimately running and not just kind of like something like EOS where they call it proof of stake, but it really is just 21 trusted validators. I think we're continuing to see the decentralization of proof of stake protocols, which is there's a lot of academic rigor that's put into this, and I think from our end, proof of stake or I guess proof of work, it just made a lot more sense that it's been proven for over a decade now, and we understand the properties of it, we understand the attacks on it. All this stuff is just very, very well documented. There's been research that has just gone over this time and time again to really get to the surface what the situation is. And I think for the network of people that produced Nervos, like we have a researcher that has been dedicated to looking at Nakamoto consensus or proof of work for years now. He worked at Blockstream and he was a cryptographer before that, and he designed our I guess iteration or modification of Bitcoin's Nakamoto consensus, which has adjustable block time that allows the amount of data that's moving through the network to scale up based on how well the nodes are connected, instead of just saying there's one block every 10 minutes. It's much more flexible when we think about looking into the future. That will allow us to scale up when we can. And the founders, because of their history in mining communities, say with one co-founder, starting Sparkpool, I think we had the ability to start a proof of work chain in a way that I think most people starting blockchains wouldn't. I think a proof of work chain is very difficult. And yeah, so I guess that covers proof of stake. On the topic of useful proof of work, so I actually had to look this up. Yeah, I think useful proof of work it's always been an interesting idea, but I think it still doesn't really solve all that much. Like I think you still have whatever that proof of work is kind of chasing an economic reward. Like if the block reward is $1,000 every minute or something like that, there's going to be like $1,000 worth of effort put in to get that, $1,000 or, some sort of equilibrium. So I think even useful proof of work would reach like the limits of its utility, like where people would just start to do frivolous work to get the money. But I haven't looked all that much into useful proof of work to really say if it's a good or a bad idea. I just can have some intuition on the surface that there's still some issues that it has. And yeah, I think for us, we've tried to deviate as little as possible from what has been researched and is known, in say like this consensus algorithm space, because we're already doing such novel work in the smart contract space that we really need to be responsible in terms of how ambitious we're getting.
Cool. Yeah, I have never heard about useful proof of work before, so sorry. But someone asked that question.
I think even
someone is here and is happy with the answer.
Yeah, I think the useful term is a bit of a misnomer, because I think it's just more useful. But I think
exactly.
Useful is a very subjective word. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have proof of work. That's what we know.
Yeah.
But we will have some more questions from those people in here live. So while they are preparing their questions and raising their hands, maybe you can tell me where the name come from. Nervos. What does it mean for you, or why?
Yeah. So
call it Nervos.
The idea is to create a nervous system for the future of our digital economy. So yeah, if you think about the ways that we're interacting economically, there are kind of these connections and this lifeblood of our world, but we need the digital systems to connect everything. And when we look at it, it really looks like a nervous system.
That's cool. I like that. All right. Is there something you want to add now, Matt, that you thought about before we have some more questions from the audience?
I think as we're going through it, I'm getting all the talking points in there. Sometimes I miss something, but nothing is standing out.
So let's see if someone has a question. I see some hands. Osan. Hello, Osan. Do you have a question for Matt? Ozan, maybe. I don't know.
Yes, thank you. So I want to ask about my question. Can your gameplay be easily understood by the on-sky player, especially the world are relatively new in the crypto? Can they still enjoy the game even though they don't really much know about crypto and crypto-related products?
I'm sorry, Osan. It's very hard to understand you. I don't think we
can. The question was, I guess, can someone use the chain if they don't know about crypto? Is that kind of the...
Yes, that is related to some people don't know exactly more about your gameplay.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before about that kind of solution with, you can just store a private key in your phone and you don't have to create like those 12 words or something like that. I think the flexibility of Nervos will, enable those more user-friendly solutions. I think at this point, I think that there's still, work to be done to actually make the DApp experience more friendly to a new user. But from our perspective, we see a lot of capability for, people who want to build this kind of solution to do it here in a way that they can't elsewhere.
All right. Let's see, what Brain Jotter, do you have a question, Brain?
Hey Mary, how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I've been listening to the AMA for some time now. Yeah. So, and actually, it's really a great presentation. Yeah, really a great presentation. Yeah. So, I'll just go straight to my question. Yeah. So, I just want to know. Yeah, I'm audible.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So, first of all, I have a question based on the token. Yeah. So, yeah, and actually, I'm also in Telegram too. Yeah. So, my question is, the value of the token is so much important to the investors. Yeah. So, I just want to know, how do you plan to maintain the value of the token when it comes to day-to-day changes of market, and also when it comes to the funding aspects of your project? How do you plan to create a balance between satisfying yourself in your project? Like, how do you plan to make yourself benefit from the project and also the investors when it comes to the fundings of your project? So do you get it? The two questions?
Yeah, so as far as the value of the token goes, we really look at this system as, from our perspective as a foundation, as the people who started this, like we're just kind of like lighting the match, and then this it needs to be driven by the world at large. So it's very similar to Bitcoin in this respect, that if you think about, like, Satoshi wrote some code and released it, and then a whole bunch of people were like, this is useful, and they continued to build upon it and move it forward, and now no one owns Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just here for the world to use. And we look at it very much in this way, that is our vision for Nervos. And the token has been designed in a way that, say that there's only 33 billion CKB in circulation today. And say if there's 1,000 people using the blockchain today, if that 1,000 people becomes 10,000 people, you have a lot more people trying to use the chain, but still the same amount of data that is available to use the chain. So therefore, the CKB would become more valuable because there's more demand to store data on the chain. And in terms of, like, the value of the token, that is really what we point to, and like what we say, is the thesis for the value of CKB. It's not the foundation playing in some markets or pushing out some marketing and pumping things. Like, we will evangelize this project, we'll push it forward, but as far as, like, the actual, like, economic driver of this system, it is in the way it's been designed. And I think that in terms of that approach, like, I think that can start to lead into the answer to the second question around how, like, the people who are close to the core of this project now benefit in the long run. I think the idea of the foundation that is, pushing the network forward now is to dissolve in time, and for this to be a community-driven thing. And, for, people close to the project now to have, their exposure to CKB and to go on and to promote this ecosystem as it grows forward. I think if there's anything I've seen with blockchains, it's that if you have some software that works, there's going to be much bigger opportunities than what you started with. And Bitcoin's a great example of this. You can look at, like, DeFi and the Ethereum ecosystem. Of if you have something that is truly useful to the world, there's going to be an abundance of opportunity. And I think that is where I approach this from, with an understanding that the foundation has runway to launch this project, but not runway forever. And it's not part of the design for the foundation to exist forever, because we don't want a central party controlling the system and being the one that the world looks to say, what do we do next? I think the one thing I've seen is people tweeting, they have this picture of Vitalik and they say, my entire net worth is in this person's hands. And it's a bit of a joke, but also it's a bit concerning that if this thing is supposed to be decentralized, like why do people think that Vitalik is the one in charge? Why do they look to him? And I think it's a real liability for the project to have people think that Vitalik is the one that's going to do all the work and he'll make their ETH more valuable, when it really is like a large community of people that need to take ownership of the project.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying my questions. Yeah. So
thank you, Bray.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Sorry, what? Okay. So maybe Lee has a question today. Lee, do you have a question?
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Lee.
Quick one. You mentioned that the token, the more you hold, obviously, the more data that you can use on your network. Is there any other utility for the token? Will there be staking? So obviously, owners of the token, holders of the token can receive passive rewards. Are there anything else in the pipeline to increase our bag, so to speak, or we just go with the market and wait for the token to increase periodically?
So you can lock the CKB in the Nervos DAO. So right now, that can give you, I think, 2.7% in CKB a year, but that DAO is purely just an economic function now. I think over time it will be used more for governance. So that I say 2.7%. I think when we think about staking, like that's not much. I think people are usually looking for like 9%, stuff like that. I think the DeFi ecosystem on Nervos is very much in its infancy, and I think it still remains to be seen how how much of critical mass that will gain with the big fish in the sea. I think it's quite hard to tell now. I think we need probably at least 6 months, maybe more like 12 months with this Ethereum layer live to really see what kind of DeFi ecosystem is going to emerge there. I know it just kind of looking at things, it looks challenging when there are such large pools of capital on mostly Ethereum, and then you have chains like Osmosis or now the layer 2 protocols on Ethereum, where like other places where capital can gravitate. But yeah, the Nervos DAO is really the most reliable thing I can say now.
Okay, Matt. Cheers, buddy. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lee. I unmuted Tim. Do you have a question, Tim?
Hello, guys.
Hello. Now you disappeared. Now you're back.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. I had a network breakdown. CKB is the native token. I want to ask: is it tradable right now in Uniswap, and how is the liquidity pool?
So I don't think it will be in Uniswap today. So we do have a bridge to move CKB over to Ethereum, but it is not highly utilized. So I don't think anyone has deployed a contract to have that wrapped CKB on Uniswap at this time. I think the centralized exchanges are probably the best place right now.
Oh, okay. I discovered on your website that Nervos Network makes use of RSEV technology. What function does RSEV play in the ecosystem, and what significance? What is the significance of the technology to Nervos Network?
Sure. So RISC-V is a processor instruction set, which I know may just sound like jargon, but it really is like the language that the chip of your computer speaks. So there's different architectures, like a PC is going to be x86, or like a mobile phone is going to be ARM. it really is just this language that a processor speaks. And RISC-V is an open source computer instruction set that was created, I think, in like 2008, 2009. And what it accomplishes is we're leveraging the work of, so many smart people, to create this. And, because it's an actual computer instruction set, it accomplishes everything that a computer would efficiently. And if you contrast this with the Ethereum virtual machine, which has been, specially created to fulfill a limited set of functions, specific to smart contracts, it's just a very different set of capabilities you get. I think over time we're seeing the Ethereum virtual machine is being modified to just work more efficiently for whatever it's being used for at the time. I think we want to take a very different approach. Again, going back to that idea that, similar to Bitcoin, we want to create something that doesn't need to continually be messed with. If we put a computer on a blockchain that's an actual computer, we just know that it's going to accomplish anything that it needs to. And an important thing too is this instruction set is improving over time. So we had a hard fork a few months ago that introduced some new pieces of functionality from the RISC-V computing set, and we'll introduce some more next year. And what this is allowing us to do is just be more efficient with what the blockchain is doing. So to process, I guess to do more math that can process more transactions, but in some ways the aim is more to make new types of transactions possible. So the type of thing that with Ethereum, there may be a hard fork to introduce a new like a signature function, which I know may not mean anything, but I guess zero knowledge proofs would probably be a good place to latch on there. Of like, if you wanted to enable zero knowledge proofs, with Ethereum, at some point there was a hard fork to enable that, and with Nervos you could just deploy that, but we're just working continually to make the cryptography more efficient, so that we can support whatever new things people come up with in the future.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see if we have some pure water question. Pure water? Are you from the sea or the lake? That's not pure, by the way. Hello?
Hello, Kayan.
We can
Hello,
hear
yes,
you, I think.
Hello.
Kayan.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So, okay. What are the outstanding features of the Reality Finance project compared to other projects? You got the question?
I heard the new features, but I didn't hear related to what?
Like, what are the outstanding features of the Reality Finance project compared to other projects? You got the question?
What kind of finance project? Is it Brainiac Finance? Is that
Reality.
reality?
Yes, Reality Finance project.
There's nothing. We don't have any projects related to like real estate. Is that what you're saying?
What do you say?
Realty, like land and.
Yeah.
Question for this
houses.
project, Pure Water. Did you listen to the AMA?
Yeah, I really listen to them. Yeah, I have another question. Okay, so.
Well, thank you. Thank you for trying. Let's have another question. Let's see. LFC, do you have a nice question? No internet question, please. Listen to the project and then ask your questions about the project, please.
Yeah. Hi, Mary. Hi, Matt. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I want to ask about Nervos Godwoken. I know it's a newly launched layer 2. So can you tell us about it and how does it improve the security and the performance of Nervos Network?
Sure.
Okay.
I think what it does is really lower the barrier to entry for a developer to build something on Nervos. So because of the Ethereum compatibility, someone can just take a smart contract that they've written for Ethereum and they can run it on Nervos. And this is, I had mentioned that, the project started in 2018, the chain launched in 2019. And I think a big part of why people had not heard about Nervos is because it was very difficult to build applications on top of Nervos. And it still is difficult to build things on the layer 1 blockchain. And for us, we're excited about the potential of what people may be able to build someday, but it's very challenging. So with Godwoken, it makes it much easier for someone to build an application. They can just take that Ethereum code and they can run it on Nervos. And I guess the technical nature of what Godwoken is, it's an optimistic rollup solution. So that's like similar to Optimism or Arbitrum in the Ethereum world, and we can use the Nervos virtual machine to run the Ethereum virtual machine when we need to. But because it's a layer 2 solution, it makes more efficient use of the layer 1 blockchain.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you. Mike, I've seen you tried many times to raise your hand. What is your question, Mike?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Please ask your question.
Okay, yeah, so I just want to know concerning your token, in terms of, swapping swapping your token, I just want to know how you plan to address the following issues like, high gas fees, poor users experience, and fund blocking.
So for the high gas fees, the idea is to build layer 2 solutions. So we have Godwoken now, and we'll have Axon, which is our sidechain solution in time. And I've mentioned that we have some ambition to build something like the Lightning Network. And the idea is to build these different solutions and to offer options for what people are doing. And I think as far as like the gas fees go, there are some innovations with Nervos that will make gas fees more manageable, but overall, high gas fees is really just a result of more people wanting to use the chain than the chain can really support. And because blockchains are distributed around the world, no matter how fast you make a blockchain, I think you can always find ways that users will exhaust the capacity of it and fees will go up. So how we approach it is to just build these different solutions that users can interact with a sidechain, if they're doing certain transactions that would be more expensive on the layer 1. And to just provide a spectrum of different options for users. And yeah, because I think the hard reality of this stuff is that there's no way that, like, there's no silver bullet that anyone has that just can make gas fees low. I think, and any chain that has this it's happening because the number of people using the chain is less than their capacity. But as we see more and more people come into crypto, we'll continue to push the boundaries there. And any chain that says that they'll just increase capacity is really they're testing fate. I think Solana is definitely the most ambitious in this respect. That they will tell you they'll just continue to add TPS as they need to. And yeah, it's an incredible engineering feat, but they are really doing some difficult work.
Interesting.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. So I'll just take 2 steps to your Telegram, and ask more questions. One is okay. Thank you.
Yes,
Okay,
please
great.
do
Yeah,
that.
join the Telegram groups. Yeah.
Let's have one more question, shall we? Or are you in a hurry, Matt?
No. We'll definitely do another question.
But do this, Max. Do you have a question, Max? Show Max.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Are you related to Baymax? Just kidding. Go on. Ask your question, please.
Okay. So my question is, what are the contingency plan, the team have installed to tackle adversities that may spring up, stress in the group's stability of the project?
Could you ask one more time and just a little slower?
I said, what are the contingency plan the team have installed, to tackle adversities that may spring up, stress in the growth and stability of the project? And secondly, what if in the coming years, the whole market dies due to bad ecosystem or tough regulations? How do you plan to keep the ecosystem alive?
So
Did you get
you mentioned I was getting parts of it.
How do you keep to we can take one of them, I think. Only,
yeah.
Show Max. So how do you plan to keep this system alive? I think he asked. Like how do you plan to if there's a bear market now?
In case,
how will it survive?
In case of tough regulations.
Yeah, I think I think it. I mean, if it's a question of regulations, I think we're not too concerned there. I think Nervos is pretty well decentralized, and because it's secured by proof of work, I think there's a good amount of resiliency built in there. I think as far as addressing like what if we do go through kind of like more like very difficult events that test kind of any crypto project. I think the idea with Nervos has been to create something that is exciting and very interesting and innovative, and we've always kind of pursued that. We've always been very community oriented, that we don't want just like a single foundation or a single party driving this project forward, because that is a very fragile way of building. I think the idea has always been to excite, a community of people about doing this and to say that we need to do this together. So I think the path forward would be that, this community of people who is excited about Nervos and, say miners, people who are economically incentivized to see the network succeed, work together to realize this vision. And I think the capabilities of the blockchain will allow for new applications that can't be built other places, and those applications will have economic value in a way that can't be duplicated. So if you think about, say, like an Ethereum compatible chain, if you make an Ethereum dApp, you can deploy it on 300 different Ethereum chains. And what makes one any better than another? Nervos is very different in that no other chain has like the Nervos virtual machine, and maybe some other chain might copy it someday. But we already have a 4-year head start on anyone else who would try to build a strong base of knowledge around this system and to build a community around it. So if other chains were to copy this, I think Nervos would still be the best place to deploy whatever they were building there. And I think that I guess like openness to possibility and innovation, and what that excites in a community of people, is really what I would point to in terms of, if the worst came to pass in crypto markets.
Thank you. And Matt, we don't have time for more questions. I'm sorry, we have lots of hands still up. So I will ask all of you people with your hands up and questions still in your head, go to their Telegram group or somewhere else on their social media and ask your questions. I'm sure they will be happy to answer any questions you still have. And thank you so much, Matt, for coming. It was really interesting to hear about this project. And we wish you the best of luck for the future. And please take a minute to have a closing statement if you want to.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Mary. Yeah, I really appreciate you hosting and the Crypto Miners group for organizing this. Yeah, this has been a great collaboration, and yeah, look forward to more things we can organize in the future. I think I've come to realize how important the mining community is to our project, and yeah, I think in terms of smart contract platforms, I think miners are a unique group because almost all smart contract platforms are proof of stake, and yeah, I just want to give a big shout out to all the different Nervos community groups, Nervos Nation, Radio Nervos, the Trailblazers, all the mods and all the groups. Yeah, we really are a community-driven project, and I think everyone who is contributing, it really goes a long way. And I think I'm really seeing that we're scaling up now, and that community momentum or just vibe. It really makes all the difference in this project. So yeah, I thank everyone for tuning in and taking a minute to learn about what we're doing. And yeah, please join the main Telegram group is probably the best place to start. Follow us on Twitter, and yeah, there's other regional groups for different languages, and yeah, it's mining groups as well. So yeah, happy to answer any questions. Yeah, people can DM me if you want, and yeah, I'll get you connected.
Matt, do you also have AMAs in your Telegram groups for people to come there and ask their questions, maybe? Occasionally. Maybe you should.
No, we haven't set anything like that up yet.
Okay. So it's in the future, maybe. Anyway, Thank you so much for coming, and good luck with your project, and see you around. I hope to see more of you maybe in a few months to see where you're at then.
Great. Okay.
So
Thank you, Mary.
back anytime.
Okay.
Have a good one,
care.
everyone. Have a good wherever you are, and see you again soon. Bye, everyone.